Hello there, everybody, and welcome along to the latest webinar here at Smart Cities World, hosted today in partnership with Hexagon. My name is Luke Antonia. I am the senior editor at Smart Cities World. I'll be hosting this session where we'll be looking at the role of digital twins in creating smarter urban and industrial sites. These sites are obviously the engines of modern cities and economies, and at the same time, as cities grow smarter and more connected, many industrial operations remain kind of constrained by outdated systems, siloed data, reactive processes. These are issues that we are all familiar with in cities as well. And today, when agility and safety and efficiency are more critical than they've ever been, the need for better integrated real-time data across these sites is really essential. So to take us through how to kind of tackle these challenges, I'm going to introduce Dirk at Hexagon. Dirk, come and join us on screen here. And first of all, let's hear from you on who you are, what you do. Give us a little introduction to yourself before we jump in.
Yeah, great, thank you, Luke. Indeed, I have my slides ready, but first an introduction. I'm working with Hexagon since 15 years, I believe. Led our business in APAC, also before in a few regions in Europe. And now mostly focused on smart sites, having integrated sites and helping our customers getting everything what they want out of it to optimize efficiency, operations going further. Yeah. But thank you, Luke, for giving us the floor. Thank you all for joining in this webinar, Putting Data to Work on Critical Sites. A little bit my agenda for today. First, a small introduction. I think Luke already gave a few elements away, but what are we talking about when we're talking about critical sites? What kind of infrastructure are we talking about? What kind of data issues or challenges are we seeing? And then give the word to two of our customers, first the city of Geneva, and then I will fill in for BASF on what they are doing with our solutions. And then just to close, also look into the software itself, what they use to make their sites more smart, so to speak, more connected. And as we still have, looking at the time, I can show you a little bit more examples from other customers if the time allows us. Great. So let's jump into this. What do we mean with critical infrastructure? Here you see already a good hint. Think about transportation, logistics, railway, ports, airports, cities, hospitals, campuses, or infrastructure. I mean, plants, energy plants, or chemical plants, or whatnot. So most of the time, very complex environments with a lot of data already available, historic data, real-time data. And the key will be there for organizations to bring that together and really leverage that in their operations. When doing that, they need to, of course, realize that a lot of information is not only outside, but also inside. Actually, a lot of studies show that most of the information or data comes from inside. Another tool, which is another element about data, I apologize, is that it's not just above ground. It's also below ground, as both use cases today will demonstrate. Looking at some information from Forbes here, I mean, when we look, and we also get that from customers, when we look at complex sites, there's always the issue or the challenge that they might end up in sort of data silos. You have different groups working next to each other, experts in a certain field, and there is always the danger that they don't always communicate, or that information is stuck in certain expert silos and are not leveraged throughout an organization, causing, of course, inefficiencies, security risks, and safety risks. According to Forbes, again, engineers spend 30% of their time looking for the right information. So, yeah, talking about efficiencies, right? Let's try to nail down this issue in a more schematic view. If you have a complex environment and you already have a lot of systems in place, you have an enterprise asset management system, you have BIM data, CAD systems, GIS systems, real-time data security systems, maybe turnaround management systems or ERP systems. All good system, and certainly it's don't throw them away, right? But they're expert tools, specialized use cases, accessible only to a few, and requiring deep technical knowledge. But they contain a lot of information that can help, let's say, the non-experts or experts from other silos to make their business or operations more efficient. Going from A to B, keeping count with all that is going on a certain site. Where is it safe to dig in the ground? Where are certain assets? How can I fastly query for some values on assets, for example? And so on and so on. Luc already gave a little bit away. Let's say a solution or a possible solution to those problems for a lot of companies is digital twins, a sort of a visual portal where a lot of information is integrated that can be accessible to all, maybe based on authorization rights, but it is more of an intuitive, let's say, data sharing, data collaboration platform. Other data from or information from Forbes: 4% of companies use digital twins. 83% want to implement them over the coming 3 years. For the good sales guy, he sees a lot of opportunities here. I think for us, it also shows the challenge because still going on with these statistics or this information from Forbes, these data, these percentages have not changed that much over the last years, illustrating that a lot of companies that are thinking about digital twins are maybe stuck in endless evaluations or got lost in the buzzword. What is a digital twin? What is it for them? How can it make a difference operationally? And maybe how to start with it, right? When we see customers coming to us, these are, let's say, the most common requirements. First of all, and it's maybe a simple one, it's data consolidation, right? Bringing all that information together in, let's say, a common operational picture. Creating broad situational awareness, intelligence, new insights by combining data together, and finding information faster. See that the engineers don't lose 30% of their time anymore. Something that always also comes back is, let's say, an integrated view with their security and surveillance systems to be able to act fast. Collaboration simulations, certainly also that, but mostly, of course, people want to improve processes. So this is very short introduction. Let's have a view on how the city of Geneva has started to do this. We go to a recording as actually to this week. There's the Smart Week here in Geneva itself. I also traveled here, and Giacomo is, I think, busy at the event, so he recorded this, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Good afternoon. My name is Giacomo Benedetti, and I'm head of R&D projects, technology transfer, and test before invest services at the Competence Centre Start for the Zero in Italy. I'm happy to share with you all today, within the picture of Smart Cities World, a project we are very proud of. But firstly, let me tell you something on the organization that I represent. STAR is one of the 8 specialized competence centers established by the Italian Ministry of Economic Development in 2019, now the Ministry of Enterprises and Made in Italy, to accelerate the adoption of Industry 4.0 technologies, but with a strong focus on the security and optimization of strategic infrastructure. We can say we stand a bit outside the usual profile of Hexagon solution users. We are not an engineering firm, in fact, and not simply a public-private association either. We operate as a fully fledged economic entity while also serving as an operational arm of the ministry, so managing public funds to drive digital transformation across industry and public administration. And from corporate cybersecurity to process and asset digital twins, our scope is broad and intentionally so, let's say. Led by the National Research Council, which is the largest research organization in Italy, our association brings together 6 public entities, including also the 2 Ligurian port system authorities, and a total of almost 50 private companies, ranging from global leaders like ABB and Leonardo, for instance, for up to tech and small tech innovators on the territory. This number has grown by 30% in the past year alone, proving that our innovation ecosystem is constantly evolving. It must be said that this dynamic network allows us to aggregate use cases and meet a wide range of technological innovation demands of our clients and partners. Our services and projects span from process innovation to test before invest of cutting-edge technologies, including reality capture system and GPR surveys. We are, of course, just a drop in the ocean, and we are not competitors of the players that are on the market from a lot of time, but we rather demonstrated already in the past years to be an aggregator of opportunities that significantly impacts nationwide and in several sectors, from infrastructures like ports, which are dynamic and complex and never sleeping ones, up to heritage BIM. And we do often take the lead as prime contractor in all those cases in which a company or a public body needs a reliable and somewhat institutional partner to understand the potential of certain technologies to help them shaping their innovation pathways. And that was exactly what the Municipality of Genoa needed. So that's why I'm here today to represent the city I'm living in. Genoa, once a powerful maritime republic, now a strategic logistic node and the southern gate to Europe. Its commercial pulse has always coexist with a deep, layered cultural heritage, so rich it earned UNESCO recognition. But where history and infrastructure intertwine, complexity and fragility emerge. This is where advanced asset management and urban intelligence become essential to monitor, to preserve, and to evolve. Now, since 1985, the Municipality of Genoa has been shaping its digital city, a living, growing system developed by the Territorial Information System Office of the municipality itself. A vision nurtured over decades with layered data from diverse sources and providers, from maps to sensors, from utilities to infrastructure. But let's say that this overarching initiative is constantly evolving, is detailed and designed for service, but for it to be truly effective, this vision could no longer become and remain fragmented. It must become unified, connected, and actionable. Indeed, the geospatial intelligence behind Genoa's digital twin must be designed with a purpose and, to a certain extent, with urgency. A platform not just for data, but for action, as I said, to do what? Well, to generate knowledge that helps us understanding and improving the city, to support local governance with evidence-based decisions, to enable new products and tailor-made services that respond to real needs, to attract and direct investments where they matter most for the benefit of the community as a whole, and finally also, last but not least, to deliver a renewed brand identity for Genoa, resilient, connected, and future-ready. Now, let's get into the use case domain. The project I have the pleasure to tell you about is being a game changer for the Municipality of Genoa to contribute to this fully integrated digital map of its above and underground network. This broad initiative I was telling you about connects subsurface infrastructure with the city's surface layout, forming an urban digital twin that enhances water management, structural monitoring, environmental sustainability, and cultural heritage protection. Given the complexity of a city with centuries of history layered beneath it, this effort required, must be said, unprecedented collaboration between the Municipality of Genoa and the Start 4.0 competence centers that led in turn several Hexagon partners. Together, we developed a flexible workflow to tackle the challenges of mapping such a dynamic urban environment. By combining above and below ground reality capture data, the project delivered highly accurate 3D mapping of key historical areas. The GPR-based utility detection allowed for safe operations without disrupting city life, also ensuring a clear view of underground networks and structures, and ultimately bringing together diverse data sets within the Hexagon Smart Sites represents a major leap forward in the digital management of a city where history and modern challenges coexist really every day. Now, before moving to the next slide, which is not a slide, just a brief note. Let's say the video clip you're about to see tells the story far better than I could. It captures and condenses the results we achieved through this experimentation, showing methods you probably already know, applied to a context that's perhaps a bit different from the unusual, let's say, and at times worthy of the most adventurous Indiana Jones. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'm almost to the end of this presentation, but as we wrap up this journey, here is the truth behind the scenes. So challenges, complex fields, poor to zero GNSS, so GPS coverage, weather constraints a lot, and data everywhere in every format. But every challenge brought lessons, and indeed, this project taught us something powerful, that creativity wins, that teamwork multiplies, and that public administration is an ecosystem to navigate with both patience and strategy. What comes next is simple and ambitious. Turn the prototype into practice, expand its reach, and let the Genoa experience become a model to replicate. So thank you for being with me. I hope this journey through Genoa experience has sparked ideas and shown just how many different use cases can emerge across cities worldwide. What we shared is only a starting point, and we look forward to continuing this conversation with all of you in the Smart Cities World community. Thank you.
Great, thank you again to Giacomo. Just sharing my slides again to go to the second use case. That seems to be better. Good, BASF. A few words, excuse me, before we go into the use cases, just about our cooperation. We started to work together with BASF about 25 years ago, more exactly the BASF Antwerp site, where they needed to integrate BIM, CAD, GIS models with real-time sensors, like the use case we talked before. And they needed to have a tool to do data sharing collaboration, right? It started out actually all with the use case of the underground network. There are in the European Union Seveso guidelines, as they call it, named after an Italian city that once had a chemical disaster, that chemical plants need to map their underground networks and report about it. So that was really the, let's say, the first visualization we implemented. We'll show you a short visual of that later on. And it started there 25 years ago, from 20 users to now 2,000 users on the Antwerp site, X amount of users on Zhenjiang, and we grow from there. It's recognized within BASF as one of their key 4.0 technologies, so to speak. And it is essential in multiple processes. And we'll go to talk about a few of those processes. And maybe as you'll see, they first used the Luciad technology, then they went to, let's say, more other solutions based on the same Luciad technology. But we will show today a few, let's say, classic examples of the BASF Antwerp site. BASF Antwerp used for, let's say, about 20 years, they stayed in 2D, after which they really decided to go to 3D, 4D, 5D, as we call it. So 5D, the ability to show in 3D, but also to filter out on time and on attributes. But unfortunately, we're not able to show the new footage. We are able and allowed from BASF to show the older 2D footage, or at least a part of that, so that we're going to go into a bit compensate about that. I hope to show you later on some cool 3D use cases as well. So, of course, starting from visuals, a digital twin, and 2D, this is where it all starts, of course, right? This is a view on the Antwerp site, and naturally, it's, let's say, the start screen of the application, of the old application, and it all starts from there. And of course, you don't only want to see the map, you want to combine that with all kinds of other use cases. And as you probably might know, and there's a lot of production sites on these kind of production cells on these kinds of sites, 50 plus supporting services plus fire departments on an own fire department, and so on and so on. So you need to allow different groups of users make or leverage that digital twin in their benefit, combine that with their data sources. So for the Antwerp site, for example, they have about 250 different workspaces. So preset workspaces, for example, but you can also create new ones where everybody really can go to the data catalog and build their own workspace based on their authorization rights. And here you see a few examples. I think you'll see the emergency response is mentioned here. We'll come back to that in one of the use cases, but it's grouped, let's say, in different use cases. Here we cannot go through all the 250, but we go through some of them. Construction works near critical assets, shutdown management. One of the key things at such plants, the enemy is really to have a lot of shutdown time, real-time asset tracking, and crisis management. Construction near critical assets, and here you see this visual, this screenshot is let's say really mapping on a certain location everything what is under the ground. Of course, they have a complete workflow to keep that up to date, because they have constructions going on, and probably all chemical plants or other plants have that going on almost daily, right? So when construction needs to happen, they want to know, of course, what is under the ground, but they also want to know, what is the free space to move around there? How can I mean, what kind of a crane or other material can I maneuver between the buildings, and so on and so on. Here you see another more 3D version here, not from BASF, as we're not allowed to show it, but it can get very real. Panoramics can be used, point clouds can be used, meshes can be used to make that very concrete use case in combination with CAD files, with BIM files, and so on and so on. Another use case is shutdown planning, and limit downtime is really the key focus of that. Here you see an older visual of that, where you really, every point stands for certain tasks. When they maintain a cracker or some kind, there are thousands of tasks that need to be logged, that need to be monitored and followed up upon, connecting with specialized systems, turnaround management systems, permitting tools, and IoT sensors to really follow that up. I think we have here a sort of a visual of a more modern way to do that, and then of course you could click in to different parts that need to be maintained, timeline, and so on and so on. Again, this is a fake example, not from BASF itself. Another use case, real-time sensor integration, and at the end, you can track everything. Even documents are tracked in some of our customers' sites. Tracking people, vehicles, equipment. Also, when, for example, equipment leaves a certain perimeter. Not only a use case in chemical plants, also in hospitals, for example, for security reasons, when a wheelchair or a bed or what else leaves a certain perimeter, you want to have certain alerts going off. Here, more tubes or valves or valuable properties. Believe it or not, sometimes these things get lost. Monitor pressure, for example, from temperatures on pipelines, are all things you can visualize. Here, they visualize alarm posts. And when, for example, somebody uses an eye shower, central management or center monitoring gets an alert for that, and they can immediately send a medical crew to the place. So it's these kinds of workflows, if you can call it that, that you can implement and make certain things more optimized and safe at the backward. You see also create dashboards. It's something that we also can do, but usually these kinds of sites have already dashboards in place, Power BI, for example. So we can also integrate with these kinds of tools. So you don't have another dashboard tool, so to speak. You can just use the same. And a use case that is very interesting to me, and I have a next slide that shows more on the BASF level how complicated things can get. But you know, you have a lot of crises that can happen at such a site, and an emergency response that need to act to that. You have maybe a dispatcher, maybe the fire department itself, or a central unit monitoring safety. And when something happens, they need to access in milliseconds, okay, what are the red zones, muster zones? They need to access surveillance cameras. Maybe they need to see what kind of tank levels there are close to maybe a fire or whatnot. These are most of the time information that is locked away in expert systems. So you need an intuitive way for non-experts, I mean, experts in their own field, fire department or what else, but to access these kind of chemical data. So when you look at this, for example, it's a different view of the same thing: red zones, energy, streets, tank levels, fire prevention. And if you know where all this information comes from, yeah, it's absolutely impossible for fire brigade or what else, a crisis team, to go and look for that. It needs to be ready in easy to access digital twin, and that's where Luciad technology first, and afterwards smart sites technology, the evolved version, let's say, are really crucial for BASF. So bringing that a little bit together, smart sites, it's a digital site solution for critical infrastructure. See it as a layer on top of all your data and all your expert system, bringing that in a common operational picture, allowing people to collaborate in workspaces and connect with those expert tools. It's an off-the-shelf solution. When we do have to, let's say, work with the customer or with their partners, it's most of the time around data preparation, getting the data in, seeing that it's well structured. So you can then deploy fast. You can start filtering out information with queries or with dimensions. Give me all the fire extinguishers in that building on that floor that need to be maintained between that and that date, for example. Collaboration, I think we already mentioned, and you can of course install this on premise or in the cloud. So coming back to our problem from before, you have a lot of systems already in place. You have, let's say, one person, okay, where do I need to find the information I'm needing? So we turn that around, and that is really, let's say, a more schematic view on smart sites. It's the layer on top of that that allows you to rapidly retrieve that kind of information. Another visual here, something we can show here from BASF, an early prototype, but we provide these types of solutions to production facilities, critical infrastructure, as I said in the beginning, transportation hubs, hospitals, pharmaceutical companies, but also amusement parks, stadiums, capital events. Think about the World Cup, and base management in defense, for example. Here it's some typical use cases because you're always thinking, okay, a digital twin, it looks good, it is nice, but what am I getting out of it? Here, and these slides will be shared, you can get some ideas of what production, for example, are doing. For example, scaffolding. One of our customers, you know, there are scaffolding, so steel constructions around, or metal construction around buildings or pipelines or whatnot. Some expert silos are building that up and dismantling them on Thursday. Next week, the other silo builds them up again. So getting more coordinated, very simple use case can be very cost saving. Make notes, redlining, annotations to communicate between people, monitor Wi-Fi coverage, get alerts also on that, link to security systems, ERP systems, collision avoidance, airports, monitor weather conditions, as you'll see here, but going, let's say, to the generic part, all on the right side, it's all about consolidating data and creating opportunities with that. Connect to real-time sensors, set alerts. It's all, let's say, derivatives of these key features. So going back to our schematic view of before, smart sites is really that layer on top of that, a common operational picture that allows our users to have an intuitive user tool. It comes in two environments, an administration app, let's say, manage data flows, configure styling. You set dimensions on that data, and you determine there, okay, that data source has a time dimension, attributes behind it, so you can filter on it in the client app. And also you set their authorization rights or create users in the client app. And that's maybe cool. And it's different to other solutions where you have a client app is basically a fixed thing where that a user needs to start using. But users, based on their authorization rights, can go to the data catalog, can create their own workspaces, save them, share it with others, start interacting on it, getting information, making annotations, send it to other people of the organization, and contribute to an up-to-date digital twin. Dimension-based interface. I guess you'll see in the videos coming, but here, for example, in the screenshots. So when a certain data set has a time slider or a time element, you get this slider directly activated. Of course, you can turn it off as well. A hide slider and attributes, for example, here, filtering on tasks of a certain maintenance company. Embedding API. So yeah, you can have the layer on top of it, but you don't always want to go to maybe that different digital twin solution. You want to have the situational awareness view in here, a dispatching tool, or in a BI tool, or a security tool, or somewhat. So you have an embedding API that you can also put your visuals in other solutions. So that's Hexagon Smart Sites. I connect to any kind of data source, visualize it, interact, collaborate. I see I have 15 minutes left. I want to keep room for Q&A, but maybe rapidly go over a few of the videos. I'll jump a little bit, but here you see a hospital where you have Revit data and DWG data, for example, and you can start filtering on assets and whatnot, or filtering out information on the little tiny details in your Revit data. Use cases for hospitals, here filtering out on height, but think about, as I said, wheelchairs or whatnot, or temperatures in laboratories. and having again sensors or alerts on that. Of course, you see things here in 3D, but 2D is still available. Of course, sometimes that makes more sense. Here, filtering out again the right information at the right time, or maybe filtering out on the amount of beds per room. Here you just had a link to their ERP system or a readout of that, which really contributes to the use case. Different kind of digital twin is here from a hospital in the UK, more related to the security part. So here it's just a POC. We cannot show real solutions, but you go around with your point cloud sensor. You create these kind of meshes, and you start to combine that with utilities, with other kinds of real-time information. Here you see these ghost-like beds moving around in the floor plan, so to speak. You can do routing, you can connect to a camera system, see an alert here, for example. You go to the security system, you have somebody walking there, is that suspicious or not? Or you can jump to your EAM system and see when the camera has been maintained for the last time. As I said, these videos will be shared, so you can go a little bit over it with more time. This other airport use case, of course, combining with airspaces and whatnot is not a real issue. Filtering out on work that needs to be done, jumping into the real digital twin, start making measurements and annotation, what kind of equipment you have to take to, for example, here, fix the ceiling, and you go from there. Maybe I can open the floor up now to any questions with 13 minutes left.
Okay.
Luke, are you there?
I'm here. Yes, perfect. So we'll leave this up on the screen as we run through. So one of the questions that we've had come through is about the potential to include CO2 emission data in digital twins, and whether that's been done in either of the use cases that you've shared for Genoa or in Antwerp.
Not in these two use cases, but we did integrate it for another use case. I can see if you pass me who asked the question, I can see if I can share that information from that customer.
Yeah,
I think we also have a video from it. They didn't use this smart sites tool, but the same technology underneath. So I can check if that is done, but it always depends on in what kind of data format are we talking about, right? We have a number of standard out-of-the-box data formats that takes seconds, let's say, to get your data in, depending on the quantity. If you come with something that is not supported yet, we can or build a connector or log it as a roadmap candidate and get it into our system, of course. But usually you would be amazed that most of you're not alone. Most of the data that you use will be also used by other customers or actors in the field. And there are standards we follow, part of Open Geospatial Consortium, and we follow other standards as well. So we do, I mean, wanting to be an out-of-the-box solution with the out-of-the-box connectors and covering a lot of use cases, we really want to go for these open standards and have these out of the box. Is that an answer to the question?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And like you say, you know, having things out of the box and off the shelf in that way, it helps to simplify and get people up and running that much faster.
Yeah, correct. I mean, we of course, it depends on the full use case and requirements of what you want to get out of a digital twin, but getting data in it, and I mean, you could have something running and have quick wins in days. Huh?
Yeah, for sure. One of the things I wanted to ask is, Giacomo mentioned, you know, the importance of that collaboration internally, how that can be kind of challenging to, you know, share data between departments at the outset, but also the really great opportunity that opening up kind of brings. In your experience, do you see a difference in how that is done between public sector and private sector? So looking at the Genoa example as a public sector project and the Antwerp example as an industrial site, as something in the private sector?
Oh, for us, I would say no. I mean, of course, the rules of engagement are different in any kind of solution, but you have that also between that chemical plant or that chemical plant. When we get customers together in our user conferences and whatnot, I mean, a hospital and a chemical plant, they were talking for hours. They just have, it's all about the same thing. You have assets, moving tracks, you have static data, you have, okay, authorization rights and whatnot. But that's it. It's all always about the same things.
Sure. And so what advice would you give to people watching this who have a use case in mind and they want to make this work? Where should they start, you know, in terms of making the case internally to higher ups or to leaders that this is worth the time, worth the resource, and worth the investment?
Oh, that's a good use case. I would say contact us, but that's maybe a bit too simple. But don't throw anything away. By simply using the data that you already have and putting that to use, that's, I guess, where we started from today. Putting that data to use, you can already achieve a lot. And that doesn't need to be all that expensive. And most of the time, as we see with customers, you can already prove your use case with an easy POC that here Giacomo also demonstrated. So, and I would say, don't think that you don't have data. You have a lot of data. And there's a lot of geographic or geospatial data available on the internet or whatever. So you don't always have to, you know, order your own plane to fly over and capture aerial imagery.
Yeah, there's a lot that can be used
exactly.
instantly. And you mentioned there, you know, it might not be as expensive as you think to kind of get started. Do you find that's a common misconception in terms of the barriers that kind of, you know, people explain to you, saying, well, I would like to, but, you know, the cost?
Yeah, I mean, the older reason why we have this off-the-shelf digital twin is to make that easy for people and to get that step towards the digital twin. How do I start with it? Much easier. And it's an intuitive user tool compared to the complex expert tools that people already have in place. It doesn't cost that much.
Right. Another audience question here. Is the public information shared through OpenStreetMap or another open data geodata platform?
So you can use open street maps or Google 3D tiles or whatever in combination with Revit data. I think in the last videos we always showed captured data, let's say, together with Google 3D tiles. In some countries or in some regions, it's not available, that you have other potential things. But yes, you can combine it with any. Usually the open available, the public available data, sorry, are in a very common format that we can just load in.
Right. And again, that speaks to, you know, simplicity and
Yes.
being able to, yeah, use what's available.
Again, we started in my introduction. The challenge for us is to make it simple for our customers. So that they get past this, you know, what is a digital twin for me? How do I implement it? Whatnot. So that's really what we want to answer.
And looking at the two case studies that you've shared in Antwerp and Genoa today, you know, obviously no two cases are the same, but you know, how replicable are these as projects in similar sites and for similar projects?
Well, simple answer is that BASF is rolling this out to their other sites. So yeah, I think Giacomo also mentioned today that that they want to be an example. They are an expertise center from the Italian government, so I'm guessing that they start broadening their scope from what they're doing with Genova, and then to replicate this, as he said, in other cities. So yes, fully replicable.
It can be done, which is great.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we want to do here, is share examples that help to solve challenges elsewhere as well. You know, it's about that knowledge sharing. And well, yeah, as we've kind of talked about here a little bit, you know, that starts with kind of with these projects, that starts internally.
Yeah.
How people share their challenges internally, and then can really look to engage with these different projects and scale and build on their own.
Yeah, we initially had this, I mentioned the Luciad technology. It was a set of APIs where to build your own, let's say, digital twin with, or situational awareness tool. But we made smart sites to make this more scalable, to make this easier for people, to have an out-of-the-box tool.
Yeah.
Not everybody has tons of developers standing ready to do this, or the resources to start with that.
For sure, for sure. And that's, you know, that's really important. You know, we speak to cities every day, and that is that's the feedback that we hear from them in terms of, you know, what's standing in their way. It's very much a resource, and to some extent linked with that, a skills gap and issue. And so, you know, that's what you're here for, right? Is to help to fill that gap.
Yeah, exactly. Great.
Right. That is all the time that we have on this one. But thank you very much indeed for your time. For those of you who have joined us live and on demand. Thanks, Dirk, to you as well for the presentation. There's a lot there to digest. And as you said, we will be sharing this on demand from tomorrow as well. So if there is anything that you've missed, you can check back in from tomorrow. You will receive a link to that on demand version via email. So keep an eye out for that. For any questions that we didn't get to, we'll wrap them all up, send them through to Dirk and to Giacomo as well, even though he was here kind of double virtually in a way.
I think he's speaking now.
He's speaking at the event right now. So there you go. But we'll make sure that any unanswered questions make their way over. And as we always say, we encourage you to reach out and connect with Dirk and with Giacomo as well on LinkedIn, via email, however you can. So if there's something that you feel they can help with, go and get the answers to your questions. And we're happy as Smart Cities World to help as a mediator in that. So finally, yeah,
Thank you, Luke.
thank you very much. We'll see you all on
Thank
the
you,
next one.
Luke.
Take care.
Derek, everybody. All the
Bye
best.
now.